Boston to Marseille to Shenzhen to Bangalore to Hyderabad to Philadelphia. We looked at 6 main innovation criteria, like market and investment, inter-firm activity, knowledge and R&D, human skills, infrastructure. And we looked at these things and we benchmarked with other nations around us to see where Sharjah is vis-a-vis this nation and learn from these activities as we go on. Here are some examples of the bright technologies that we are developing here in Sharjah. We pride ourselves to have the largest, or one of the largest, transport and logistics innovation centers in the world. We in Sharjah developing next generation technologies that will be promoted in this region and will become an integral part of the mobility solution in the Middle East. We also pride ourselves to have significant investment and technology development in hydroponics and aquaponics and agricultural technology. We believe that the Middle East food security insists that we develop these type of technologies, and we work hand in hand with the private sector, with entrepreneurs, and with academia to develop these technologies here. Third, we also developing photovoltaic R&D center. Our main is to promote renewable diversity and bring new source of sustainable diversity to the energy mix when it comes here in the park. We pride ourselves to launch Energy Innovation Hub, a regional platform to engage and attract innovations into this region and link them to the industries of energy within the region. We also pride ourselves at the Sharjah Research and Technology Park to host one of the largest makerspace in the UAE, the Sharjah Open Innovation Lab. This lab dedicated to entrepreneurs, to faculties, to companies to come and co-create and co-innovate the future of technologies at the park. We develop and promote this soil lab by engaging with different players, whether you are an investor or a company or academia. They all come and co-create and create businesses and enterprise out of this lab, which features cutting-edge technologies in textile technologies, electronics, metal, 3D technologies, and others. For SRTIP, collaboration with academia is an integral part of our work. We work with universities in the UAE and around the world. For example, the American University of Sharjah is one of our key partners, and we work with them on three main areas. One around IP and commercialization, entrepreneurship and development of science, employment and internship, and also lab exchange. We believe to have innovation, we have to develop human capital and develop a strong link to academia and academic institutions. Here, I would like to share with you some other examples of the innovation we have here. We've managed at SRTIP in collaboration with academia and industry to create a fantastic footprint, a regional lab for construction of 3D materials. So we have today printed many houses using 3D technologies and using collaboration with education as well. Another example of what we do is we develop IP, intellectual property, and commercialization of the IP, and the topic, for example, here is conductive concrete. Another example of R&D is we are developing an exoskeleton technology that can apply for healthcare sector and also apply for industry within construction as well. And we do this in collaboration with academia and in collaboration with the private sector as well. The Sharjah Research and Technology Park also thrives on developing an ecosystem. I have spoken about the Middle East Energy Innovation Hub. This is a platform to develop new innovation within the energy sector. To be able to conduct our work at SRTIP, we have developed a comprehensive ecosystem that includes events and themes like the Women in Technology, promoting circular economy, and launching various accelerators. Our flagship accelerator is the Sharjah Advanced Industry Accelerator. We pride ourselves to be the home for the Middle East North Africa Innovation Technology Transfer Summit. We would like to position Sharjah as a platform for technology innovation and technology transfer in the whole Middle East. And we work with scientists, with science institutions, academia, private sector to be able to do this. In addition to that, we run a series of events at the Sharjah Research and Technology Park. These comprise webinars, exhibitions, conferences that allow businesses and partners and tenants of SRTIP to engage and grow and develop their businesses and build up strong network with investors, businesses, academia, and government. We also launched the Sharjah Angel Investor. The main aim of this angel investor is to create funds and make funds available for startups to come and grow out of Sharjah. We also host many delegations, international delegations, throughout the year at the Sharjah Research and Technology Park. We host a lot of webinars, and we aim to do more of these webinars to cement relationships with countries, with industries, and with different players. Sharjah Research and Technology Park also have fantastic facilities for exhibition. We host many exhibitions and conferences at the park, and we aim to continue doing that going forward. This is a summary of the Sharjah Research and Technology Park. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. We look forward to working with you. We will look forward to partner with you and grow with you. Thank you.
Well, continue. To start the official opening of the UAE-Brazil Business Scenario on Innovation, we call to the stage His Excellency Hussein Mohammed Al Mahmoud, CEO at the Sharjah Research Technology Innovation Park, His Excellency Ambassador Osmar Shofi, President at the Arab Brazilian Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Karen Jones, CEO at Apex Brazil, in the Office for Middle East and North Africa, His Excellency Ambassador Fernando Igreja, Ambassador of Brazil and UAE, and His Excellency Marcos Pontes, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation of Brazil. And now I would like to invite His Excellency Mr. Hussein Mohammed Al Mahmoud to deliver his words.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies. We're very delighted and excited to have you here. So thank you very much for making the time and visiting us in Sharjah and SRTIP. I'd like to also extend my appreciation to His Excellency the Ambassador for making this happen and for his ongoing support to Sharjah and to SRTIP especially, and our partner are the Arab Brazilian Chamber and Apex, and also the Ministry of Science and Technology of Brazil, and also to our audience here and the companies from Brazil to take the time also visit us here at Sharjah. And also, with your permission, Your Excellency, I would like also to welcome our friends and colleagues from Italy to visit us here today, and then we're very proud and happy to have you here, and also to our companies here at we have a representative from some of the companies at SRTIP that we invited, and I'll also take the opportunity to welcome my friend, the Excellencies from Sharjah government, Sheikh Mohammed from the Department of Government Relations, and also His Excellency Mohammed Sharaf, CEO of the Sharjah FDI office, Sharjah Federal Foreign Direct Investment Office here as well to be with us. So I like to basically thank everyone to be here. We're very delighted here. I think you saw my presentation. It's a self-explanatory presentation. But what I like to say, we are very excited about the relationship with Brazil. We so far been in contact with different Brazilian institutions, and we feel there is a lot of opportunities between the UAE and Brazil. And there is no better time than the time that we are in really to take advantage of this opportunity. The UAE is very excited to host Expo. I think Expo is a global platform to re-energize the economy around the world, and we are very proud to play a role in supporting that. I think also the fact that we came out of COVID now, and every country around the world is really hungry to grow, and every business also is hungry to grow, and every entrepreneur is hungry to grow. So this is really a great opportunity to forge partnership based on sustainable growth, not a short-term partnership. We're looking for long-term partners, and this is what our leaders, Your Excellency, always tell us. Look for countries and people that will be with you for a long time, not a short time. And I think for Brazil, I would say, and I said to you, Hans, we have so far We did, of course, has amazing coaches in football that really did a lot for us here, and we always have a soft heart for Brazil when it comes to this. But now I think is the time to really take this relationship to the next level. I know the UAE
companies to come. We believe that we have a great pool of talent in Brazil, and developing innovative solutions, we can greatly address the challenges and problems faced not only in the UN region, but also elsewhere. So I'd like to thank you very much. I'd like to also
And this is very important to bring those startups, those Brazilian innovators to come to the UAE, see what are the opportunities and work on these opportunities. So I will be very glad if at the end of your visit, Minister, we could have convinced you that the Brazilian government must come to Sharjah, must try to do innovative projects with Sharjah and the Brazilian entrepreneurs, the Brazilian innovators. So could we begin with your visit, Minister, and follow this in the presidential visit that is coming in a month, this kind of diplomacy 4.0 between Brazil and the UAE. Thank you very much for you all. Thank you for Sharjah for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Fernando Igreja. And right now, we have the honor to invite His Excellence, Astronaut Marcos Pontes, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation of Brazil.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here today to see so many good things. And I'd like to first to thank for the invitation, to thank the government, the university, to thank the research center here. Wonderful, by the way. I'm really impressed with the possibilities that we have here working together. To thank our ambassador for facilitating all our journey here in UAE. Also the Apex, we have this wonderful exhibition in the Expo Dubai. Actually, again, I will reinforce the invitation to go there and to see the Brazilian pavilion. It's really amazing. This week in a special talking about the space program. So, of course, being from the space program is it's really something that touched my heart with this. So if you can, please visit the Brazilian pavilion there. It would be very interesting. Also, I'd like to thank the Arab Brazilian Chamber of Commerce for also to facilitate this relationship between those two partners that we can do so much together. We saw nowadays, we've been seeing actually during the pandemic, how important is science, how important is technology and innovations for us to get out of this situation. And for our friends with the startups or the small companies working, you have the key of finding solutions to be able to not only to get out of this pandemic situation, but also to recover the economy of the countries. And so I believe so much in the startups, I believe so much in the possibilities that we have, and we have to work together. This is another thing that we learned during the pandemic. We cannot do things alone. We have to work together. Science is sharing. We noticed how important it was to share the data that we've been collecting in the countries with the COVID, all the tests, the sequencing of the virus, all the mutations, all the work done for the vaccines, by the way, many of them developed by startups. And so we learned about union, about the need of science, about the importance of the startups, the importance of creativity, the importance of hard work. And so we have to take this ahead. And when I see the opportunities that we have here, when I see the possibilities that we have working with the students of the universities, working with the researchers here, with new ideas, new possibilities, and we have so many different fields that we can share knowledge and we can cooperate. And this is good for both sides. And this is the best way of doing anything. And so renewable energy, for example, is one of the areas that we've been working hard in Brazil to get more. Brazil has nowadays a pretty good grid of energy. It's more than 70% is renewable energy in Brazil, but we have to get better. If we need a sustainable future, we have to get better in renewable energy. And that takes us to the mobility, to transportation. How can we change the transportation in the future so they can be more efficient? They can be more agile inside the cities, and they can reduce carbon emission, for example, and so many things that we can do together. And I was amazed also with the video with some of the logistics, the transportation that we saw there. Also, when we talk about artificial intelligence, this is the future that will be inside everything. Nowadays, we already have artificial intelligence in most of the systems that we work with, but we need more. And that will be inside our homes, inside our jobs, and actually that will change our lives from here on. So we've been investing in artificial intelligence in Brazil a lot since the beginning of 2019. So from there, we have 6 new centers for applied artificial intelligence, applied especially in the industry 4.0, health 4.0, agriculture 4.0, smart cities. And now we just launched the call for 2 more, one for cybersecurity, another one for the frontier of knowledge in artificial intelligence that can take us to new hardware, for example, in other aspects of this new technology. Also, Internet of Things. We launched the national plan for Internet of Things in Brazil with 4 chambers. I just said 4 of them. There's Industry 4.0, agriculture, smart cities, and health 4.0. You see the coincidence there. So we had 1 chamber for each area, and then we attached artificial intelligence into those chambers for Internet of Things. We also launched the Brazilian strategy for artificial intelligence, and we are now part of the GPay as well. So to think about the ethics about using artificial intelligence, this is just one area. If we think about the other areas that we can and we should work together, like biotechnology, we just talked with a couple of engineers upstairs talking about science and biotechnology. How can we use the huge resources that we have in Brazil in terms of biodiversity to transform that in riches for the countries, the wealthy, to improve the quality of life of the populations of both countries. And we can work together with this. We are just launched 3 labs, remote labs inside Amazon. Now we are launching 47 more. So it will be a total of 50 labs inside the Amazon. That will comprise what we call the SALAS system. And so we are going to have scientists from Brazil and other countries working inside those labs, getting results, studying the biodiversity of the Amazon, and transferring data to perhaps new medication, new cosmetics, new products that we can derive from the rainforest. And it's just one of the biomes that we have in Brazil. We have 6 of them. So, and we have to, again, to cooperate with this. Oceans, also an interesting point. We're talking there about oceans. So we just launched the Brazilian, the National Institute for Ocean Research. And that will be very important to connect universities, to connect research centers from Brazil and other countries to work together. To know more about our oceans. It is very important also to clean our oceans. If you think about microplastics, for example, it's a very important issue that we have to take care, and that must be something that we have to do together. So it's just getting some ideas of some of the technologies that we are working there in Brazil that we can for sure work together. Bring companies from here into Brazil to work there, companies from Brazil to work here, and perhaps work in both countries at the same time. Of course, there are some legal issues, there are some difficulties in terms of legislation, in terms of regulations, in terms of how to transfer money and to do all this. That's one of the reasons we are here with part of our ministry that is responsible for this. Secretary Meirelles is here, our executive or vice minister is here as well. So it's responsibility to take care of the administration of the ministry. So we can help with this, and we can take also demands, we can take ideas in how to make all the system easier to us to work together. So I brought a pretty large team here with all the expertise of the Brazilian Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovations. We also have here people from INPE, the National Institute for Space Research, and the Brazilian Space Agency here too. So we have a complete team that can help us to solve problems, and that's the life of a startup, right? Startups, they thrive during the difficulties. So we have a difficult time. This is the best time for a startup to get successful. So let's work together, and you can count on the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovations. You can count on me personally to help with everything that I can help. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Your Excellency, Max Pontes, for the brilliant words. And I would like to invite all of you to remain on stage. And now, Mr. Ambassador Bashowski, so I'd like to invite you to give the gift of our chamber for the guests here.
Okay.
Coisinha muito simples,
Opa, uma coisa muito bonita.
mas é uma demonstração do nosso apreço.
Thank you. Obrigado, obrigado, obrigado. Beautiful. Yes. Arabic. Yeah.
Well, this is
Thank you
something
very much.
inspired by
Thank you very
Arab
much.
design.
Thank you. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thanks for your support and for organizing also this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fernando, eu não sei qual é o número. Você merece todos os e a nossa parceira, sempre, a Karen.
There we go. Okay. Wow, thank you. Obrigado.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. So I'd like to invite you to
Down. Okay.
go for the stage.
Quer dar no final, por exemplo?
No final, no final.
Yes, please. So, Mr. Hassan, I'd like to, so you can keep on the stage as the moderator of our first panel that is going to discuss about the innovation environment in Arabic countries and Brazil, opportunities and challenges. And to be here to discuss this important thematic, I would like to call to the stage Mr. Paulo Alvim, Secretary of Entrepreneurship and Innovation of the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation of Brazil. And High Excellence Mohamed Juma Al-Musharraf, a CEO of the Sharjah FDI Office, Invest in Sharjah, and Ms. Ludmila Figueiredo, Investment Officer in Apex Brazil Office for the Middle East and North Africa. Please. Thank you very much, all of you. So take your seats. Sure.
Legal. Muito bom. Gostei.
So, thank you very much. Hello again, Your Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen. We're starting our session, and I would like just to add on His Excellency the Minister point, because I know a lot of people who are here have focuses on space and aerospace. And I would like to say a few things just for the sake of also the program today. Sharjah has a very nice space center. It is within the university city. It's just 10 minutes or 5-minute drive from here. Whoever is interested to go and see the space center, please let us so we can contact them and we organize the visit for you there. I think this space center belongs to the Sharjah University, and Sharjah University is one of the leading universities in this country providing space training and space projects as well. So I just wanted to mention this. But today I'm really very excited to moderate these sessions, and it's all about innovations and the innovation status. We have with us Mr. Alvin, the Secretary of Entrepreneurship and Innovation of the Ministry of Science and Technology, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Amsharah, CEO of Sharjah FDI Office, Ms. Amelia, Investment Officer for Apex Brazil. I would like to start maybe by just in a couple of minutes talk about the status of innovation in Brazil and the UAE. What are the status of the innovation in Brazil? I know His Excellency the Minister touched on this, but we would like to know what are the key sectors that the Brazilian government is focusing on, but also from the Apex point of view, what are the key sectors the private sector of Brazil is focusing on? And Mohammed, I would also like to ask you the same question. So maybe you can start with just a quick note on where is Brazil on innovation.
Thanks for the invitation. For us, it's very important to start this opportunity because today in Brazil is the Innovation Day. So it's very important in this opportunity. The second is the moment in Brazil to support the science, technology, and innovation. The cycle, the evolution is very interesting for 70 years to investment in Brazil, to prepare persons, to prepare the laboratories, and principal, to prepare the companies, to stimulate the innovation, to develop the innovation. It's a simple cycle to evolution, but at the moment, I have a good integrate actions to regulation, to financing, and principle, to integrate the actions of the three levels of the government, federal, states, and cities. So to stimulate these actions, to complement the legislation about the innovation law, the startup law. Brazil have at the moment a good instruments and a law to stimulate, to facilitate the operation of the startups. Here I have representative startup of Brazil. It's an example of these actions. At the moment, the movement of the startups is very interesting because ideas in many areas to strategic areas is opening the opportunity. New materials, health, energy, biofuels, foods, many opportunities to develop startups. But the important, the goals of this moment is internalization of the startups, is opportunity. So such a collaboration is opportunity to cross incubation, to visiting these startups in this Middle East was is very, very interesting, ambassador, to collaboration, the cooperative enterprise, cooperative business, the principle to integrate the action of the two countries. It's very important for us.
Maybe we can hear from you on the private sector. Because we know on innovation, a lot of us sometimes think, of course, the government has a big role in innovation, but the private sector almost equally have a similar role, if not even bigger. Because we all know companies, for example, like Microsoft, the budget of Microsoft, which invests in R&D, is more than the Department of Defense of US, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all together. So we know where is really the focus should be. So what is the status of the private sector investment in Brazil when it comes to innovation?
Thank you, Hussein. Thank you all for being here. I'm representing Apex Brazil as investment officer. And if I can answer this question, I'd like to take a step back and see the whole world pre-pandemic, because at that time in 2019, the whole world was declining in FDI. And the only region that was growing 8% was Latin America, and that was pushed by Brazil. And then 2020 came. We had our record year, $3.5 billion in 2020 of investment in venture capital.
So the ecosystem was really active. The top countries are Brazil with $5.2 billion now in 2021, the first half of 2021. So we not only increased already from the whole year of 2020, and we are outpacing also in the region, in Latin America. And that shows how active it is in terms of the private sector. That was really pushed this year by 11 mega rounds that we had. And by mega rounds, we consider $100 million plus. 42% of this total amount was in fintechs, 21% in consumer services, marketplaces, and 20% in industrials. That includes transportation, logistics, our deliveries, Deliveroo's of Brazil is really, really strong because of the market size. So definitely we have a very strong market. These are just a few examples that we can bring to you. And Apex Brazil engages with the private sector very much because our scope of work falls under three main pillars: global trade of Brazilian companies, internationalization of Brazilian companies in different markets. And here in Dubai, we have an office to support greater geographies like the Middle East, as well as foreign direct investments. And that's what we also support investors from the region who are interested in tapping into Brazil.
Thank you. I think Secretary Albini wants to comment.
Other actions is very important. Is at the moment, Brazil have 4 laws to stimulate the private investment in innovation. The innovation law, the good law, the name, the law to ICT, information communication technology, law to simulate the semiconductors and integrated circuit, and other to stimulate the innovation in automobile sector. It complements the action of the investment for the private sectors and other instruments to support the mitigation of innovation. It's very important to support the actions of the companies. Innovation is the action of the companies. So the government have the position to stimulate these investments. It's very important for us.
Thank you very much, Excellency. I know you have a presentation to give, so we'll come back to you, but I'd like to direct the question before that to Mr. Mohammed. What role Sharjah FDI playing to promote innovation and promote bilateral relations when it comes to innovation, Mohammed? Both in UAE and Sharjah.
Obrigado, Hussein. And hola to everyone. Maybe before I start talking business, I would like, since I'm a promoter actually of Sharjah, I would like to tell everyone that across the street we have the best acai, Brazilian acai.
Oh, that's great.
And when we actually had the pleasure a few weeks ago to meet the Vice President, I told him that, Your Excellency, now Brazil is very good and advanced in agro-technology. When will we be able to grow acai in UAE? So talking about technology and innovation, I think this is something that we would like to see coming to the American. So my name is Mohammed Msharaf. I'm the CEO of Sharjah FDI office, and our role low in terms of companies. So today, out of the free zones, all foreigners can own their companies 100%. And this is, I think, is a game changer when it comes to attracting companies to the UAE. You know, before that, any company that wants to invest onshore has to have a local partner. So this is a game changer actually in terms of attracting FDI. Another game changer is actually the golden visa. So now we give golden visa, which is extended to 10 years to investors, to innovators actually, and their families to stay in the UAE and to do business in the UAE. And part of our role actually as boost this sector specifically through the Ministry of Science and Technology, and they have deployed 300 billion dirham for companies to come and start manufacturing in the UAE, and the focus is actually advanced manufacturing, agro-technology, as we have mentioned, green technology. We have one of the biggest companies in the region when it comes to green technology and recycling, which is called a Sharjah Environment Company, BIA. So this is something that we really want to focus on going forward. Another sector is actually healthcare. We have also recently launched a healthcare city. The pandemic actually has proven that we as a country and nations worldwide have to give more attention to the health sector, and this is what we are doing here in the Emirate of Sharjah, besides definitely reaching to a food security, and this is through focusing on agriculture technology.
Thank you, Mohammed. I think Mr. Paulo has a presentation today. Okay. Okay. So while you were talking, of course, the UAE is investing a lot in different areas. But let me go back to Your Excellency. How is the investment inflows to Brazil?
The point of the investment is areas, priority areas. It's very important for us, the focus of investment. At the moment, I have 5 areas very important. The first, strategic technology. Strategic technology is space. Space for us is the future. So it's very important. Ocean is important for us. Energy is strategic for us. Principal biofuels. Bio is principal. The second area is very important for us is the transversal technologies. Biotechnology, nanotechnology, new materials, digital technology, very interesting. 3 areas is very important to necessities of the population. Environment development. These areas is very important. The quality of life and the technology to support the development of the production, industry, service, agriculture, green technology is very important for this. So identify areas to stimulate the production of knowledge, to develop technology and principal innovation. Startups to accelerate these actions to impact the economy, to impact the social, and have a good results of the investment of science and technology.
Thank you very much. I would just comment on some of the topics that you suggested, whether space, of ocean, water, energy, biofuel. We are here at SRTIP in Sharjah. We're trying to play a role of a platform to engage the whole region with this. So Mr. Mohammed spoke about BIA. BIA today started from Sharjah, moved their operation to Dubai, grew to Abu Dhabi, went to Saudi Arabia, and now it's in Egypt. So it's growing. And we are also creating platforms that the Middle East Energy Innovation Hub is really to cater for startups in this region. So I would encourage Brazilian startups who wants to engage, to basically enter the Middle East market is to use these opportunities and platform. I wanted to mention when Mohammed spoke about what the UAE government doing, but I wanted to be politically correct because there are bilateral relationships that we as a UAE government, we can use to also promote companies. The UAE just recently invested 10 billion pounds in UK innovation ecosystem. I see for the next 5 years. So the UAE will invest in Great Britain 10 billion pounds for the next 5 years, all in innovation aspects. I see why not we collaborate on activities here that we can enter in these new opportunities. As His Excellency talked about collaboration and innovation, we really have to come up with new forms of collaboration that are really outside the box to be able to access these opportunities. And I'm glad that whatever you mentioned here is actually in line with what we are doing. The Middle East, North Africa Energy Innovation Hub, we have around 27 institutions. It's chaired by our Minister of Energy in the UAE and others as well. And I would love to have Brazilian companies and startups part of this because it will open door. I'll move you. Can you tell us a bit more about the presence of the Brazilian companies in the region and in the UAE, and also how your organization supports investors to enter Brazilian market?
Okay, you can call me Lud. I know my name is not the easiest one to pronounce. Yeah, so Apex Brazil provides information on tax for investors. We support with key connections on the public and private spheres and any regulations also that needs to be addressed. We support with site location in, like, the country is so big, what is the best location for you to open a business depending on different sectors. And the sectors that we work with, of course, that we follow the global trend, but the priority sectors for us are related to infrastructure, to renewable energies, to oil and gas, private equity and venture capital, and definitely agribusiness. How can we not mention agribusiness? So it's across the board, the main sectors that will develop the economy. And so that's basically what we do to support investors. All the things related to soft lending, from the visa until these more strategic activities and the context that they are, that they can flourish, not only open the business and 1 year later, nothing happened much. So we make sure that we provide some aftercare as well. So this is on the support that Apex offers to investors. Now, related to the presence of Brazilian companies in the region, what we noticed is that many companies come on an exploratory phase. So they are getting to know the UAE a lot more these days. They're understanding and being familiar with the opportunities to set up here. So that's so important to have these conversations with Sharjah and understand the infrastructure that you have. And they go back to Brazil and they feel amazed, right? So that's the stage that we are, that things are getting to materialize now. One of the things that we have seen is that the presence in GITEX or any other competitions in the UAE makes a huge difference, because the first thing that startups they would need is they are not so early stage in Brazil. They're growing and fast paced. However, when they come to a new market, they are a startup, and extra cash sometimes is needed for them to sustain the business over time. When they participate in competitions like GITEX, for instance, as we are in this context now, that gives them some breath to be able to establish here. And the example that I can bring is from Key to Enable. It's a company that participated in 2019 in GITEX Future Stars, and they won in first place. The value that they got out of it is that in Brazil, they don't know if what they are doing is really a global solution. So validating with different competitions was really important to them. And they applied everywhere until they came to the UAE. And in 1 month, Brazilians, they think really big. So they had one goal in mind, to win GITEX. They did, $100,000. And now they established in the UAE. They're opening the European market, the Russian market, and Armenia. So that is in real practice how UAE is a global hub. And not only for big companies, but also for technology companies as well, growth startups. On the second year, 2020, we had Brazilian presence in GITEX as well. And we had another winner in the first place. That was Jade Autism, which is a gameplay-based platform that provides data for better decision-making for the education and treatment of children with autism, attention disorder, and Down syndrome. They won in the first place. They also established in the UAE, and they are doing pretty well. They're opening in the UK. They got 100,000 euros in a fund from Europe as well. If I'm not mistaken, it's Portugal. I know that we have Portuguese colleagues here. So things are really happening to them. And this is the initial kickstart that we need to roll a few other opportunities as well. This year, we have a batch of 10 startups that you should all meet if you go to GITEX, and we have some of them here as well. They are in biotech, agtech, retail tech, sports tech. So we brought a very diverse group to really explore the opportunities in this market. So this is just to name a few. I don't know if I'm extending myself, but yeah. Sure.
The action of the minister is complementary. The action in this startup in the minister is to support the new opportunities, the new business. Is the preparing the new generation of the business. It's very important. The new areas, green technology, space technology, very, very important. Food tech, it's very important. The clean, the circular clean, it's very important to prepare the new startups for the new business. It's opportunity to cross incubation. It's very important to integrate the actions of the startup of all the world to work together. It's very important, this opportunity. The pandemic indicates the importance of the union, the countries, union, the universities, union, the academy, union, the business. It's very opportunity to identify solution for the problems of the planet. It's very opportunity.
Thank you. Mohammed, my question to you is, what is the status of entrepreneurship in Sharjah? Maybe you can share with the audience, where are we when it comes to entrepreneurship in Sharjah, what Sharjah is doing? And the second thing, you are an entrepreneur yourself. What advice do you have for the entrepreneurs that we have here?
Thank you, Sam. I think the UAE today, including Sharjah, is a scale-up nation. So we are not a startup nation anymore. We are a scale-up nation where we bring startups from all around the world to the UAE, and they benefit from the ecosystem actually that we have, and then we help them to scale up. Today, the UAE has the best capital markets. We have so many funds from all around the world. We have the best venture studios which invest in startups. So when companies from all around the world come to the UAE and they get into the startup ecosystem, and Mr. Hussein mentioned in his speech that Sharjah also has the Sharjah Angel Investor Association. All of these associations definitely help the startups to go to a different level. In the past 1 to 2 years, we have heard of startups that came to the UAE and they became unicorns in the world, which includes Swivel, which we heard of a few months ago, and then we have Kitopi also, which started in the UAE. If I talk about Sharjah, we have 3 different entities that helps the startup ecosystem. One is focused on UAE nationals only. Another one, which is basically available here in this building, which is Sharjah Entrepreneurship Center. They help startups from all around the world with different nationalities. And we have one which is focused on ladies only, which is Sharjah Woman, Nama, exactly. So they focus on ladies entrepreneurship only. So these 3 entities, I think, helps a lot on building a great ecosystem in the Emirate of Sharjah with different programs. Like Shara is currently organizing specialized programs, whether it's for digital media, they have another one for technology, they have another one for tourism, for example. And the main focus currently is technology around all of these sectors. And with the help of building, such as the building we are currently at, the ease of getting trade license, the ease of getting these virtual offices, the incubators that they have, the different studios that the entrepreneurs have access to, like the soy lab, for example, is a great example of Sharjah's focus on the entrepreneurship and enhancing the ecosystem and the Emirate of Sharjah.
Thank you, Mohammed. I know we are running a little bit of time, but I would say if there's anything you want to add, one last comment, Excellency.
This moment is an opportunity to construction, the actions, and Sasha in Brazil to collaborate in science and technology, innovation, but the principle to support startups is a good opportunity for us.
Thank you very much. I think we will have a session for the startups also to present quickly, so I look forward to that session. With this note, I'd like to thank my colleagues on the panel for their time, and thank you very much for being here, and we will probably move into the next session in another 3 minutes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'd like to thank our panelists for the brilliant considerations and invite them to take your seats in the audience.
É um campo muito aberto, né? Tem muita coisa que pode ser feita. A gente tem organizado o setor lá no Brasil. Pelo tamanho do Brasil e tipo assim, a diversidade de possibilidades, tanto no nível federal.
Eu tenho que pegar um avião para o Bahrein, porque nós estamos organizando um seminário para o presidente que vai para o Bahrein depois de vir aqui. Então eu vou me reunir agora de manhã com a Federação das Câmaras do Bahrein para preparar o seminário. Ótimo. Me autoriza a ir embora.
Olha, eu que agradeço aí, uma boa viagem.
A nossa Câmara é a sua casa, o senhor sabe disso. Você já visitou, já sabe. E a gente pode colaborar mais, a gente pode fazer isso no Egito, nós estamos abrindo um escritório lá.
Poxa, mas
parabéns. Trabalha direitinho.
Né?
Ótimo, eu estou indo para o aeroporto então agora, mas o senhor vai ficar até quando?
Eu vou ficar até dia 27, né?
Não, a gente vai se ver, então. Eu só volto aí. Não, eu vou agora e volto amanhã de tarde.
Tá ótimo.
Vamos ver.
Boa viagem lá, boa viagem.
Eu tenho que ir para o Bahrein agora, nesse momento, no avião. Boa viagem.
Eu entendi, agora tem um intervalinho aí? Tem, né? Tá. Tomar um café, uma água. Eu acabei esquecendo minha garrafinha ali em cima, eu fiquei olhando, putz, eu levei a garrafa e ficou lá. Vamos ver.
Hello, how are you? I'm Muhammad Lutfi. You speak. I am here if anyone needs something to speak to me direct.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
I am a mechanical engineer.